Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. Y'all will be getting this drop, regular lifers, on the Tuesday after the crew bash. So that's over with. I'm sure it was a smashing success. I know I can tell you now, and we still have 2 days left, but I can tell you now that we beat our LOPA raffle tickets. The money that we raised for LOPA, we beat it. I don't know how much yet, but I can tell you what we beat last year's already. So thank you to everyone who purchased tickets. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who came to the crew bash. I love you much. And the VIP event, I love you much. Hope your hangovers are gone by now. But I'm about to get started. So a couple announcements. Today's episode is going to be totally different anyway, but just hear this out. If you were at the crew bash, then you know that we have a lot of big changes that have taken place. One, hopefully the new intro music for Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, hopefully you got to hear it today before you heard my voice. And it is produced and performed by Chase Tyler and the world famous Chase Tyler Band. So we want to give them a shout out and say thank you so much. And your music rocks. We love it. Love it, love it. Can't wait to see all the things we're going to do together in the future. Thank y'all so much for composing and recording it. I love you. And if y'all don't get to hear it, you'll get to hear it next week. Also, Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast is now produced by Envision Podcast Studios out of Denham Springs, Louisiana, and the executive producer is Jim Chapman. Thank you, Jim, for all your work and what you put in behind the scenes already. And again, I can't wait to see what we're going to get to do together in the future. Moving forward, I announced Saturday at the show, and I'm going to tell it to the rest of the world now, that I'm starting a new podcast, totally different than Real Life, Real Crime. You know that I signed with Cloud 10 Media, who's partnered with iHeartRadio, and they approached me about doing a show totally different than Real Life, Real Crime, where I sit down and I'm raw and unscripted and tell my own stories. They want to do a big production show where we're doing it. Actually, it's done. I've already recorded my part. It's in production. It will be released the first week of April in 2022, so just a couple months. And the name of the show is Scorched Justice. And in Scorched Justice, I will be looking at nationally known cases, a lot of them that lifers have submitted to me, and I will go in and work it from my unique perspective as a law enforcement professional, and also from the defense side as a law enforcement expert. I'm putting my own spin on the cases, y'all, and so when this one comes out, the first one is going to be fire. The season is recorded. It's going to have all the big show production, music, iHeart's producers, Cloud 10's producers, their graphic artists, and we'll be posting that everywhere. So that's coming the first week of April of 2022. So stay tuned for Scorched Justice, a true crime podcast by Woody Overton. Also, because of Courtney Coco's case, which y'all went to court last week, on Monday, I sat with Miss Stephanie on the front row and Courtney's family, and we finally got a trial date for David Anthony Burns, who is under arrest, been indicted by a jury of his peers for the murder of Courtney Coco. That trial date is August the 8th of 2022. It's important. So that's coming. Of course, I'll be covering it. Then we have Miss Barbara Blount's case, never giving up. Going to continue to do what we do. Now, less than 1% of all cold cases ever get solved. And the longer the case is cold, the harder it is to solve it. We're never going to give up on Miss Barbara Blount. Continue to call in your tips. Y'all know what happened. I said I wasn't going to take any more of those cases and that I couldn't do it. And then Mary Pochot's case came. And I did the 5-part series after turning so many people down, or, I helped them when I could, but I took this case. You heard the reasons in the past, but basically it's because my wife said, how can you not take this case and help this family and use your platform? And so I did, and they went from saying, the detectives told the family, this case will never be solved unless you can provide a video of Gerald Pucho killing Mary. Well, guess what? That was incorrect. I did a call to action with the lifers. I told the story, and They went from saying it'll never be done to within a week, they made 2 arrests. And now Gerald Pouchot is under arrest for second-degree murder of his wife of 40-plus years, Mary, and obstruction of justice. And his new wife is under arrest for obstruction of justice, the lady he married after he killed, according to law enforcement now, after he killed Mary. So, and I still get the requests, y'all, from all over the country, all these families that are hurting, and I said I wasn't going to do it anymore. Well, you know what? I'm going to. So it's going to be real life, real crime, hashtag justice for blank. And the blank is going to be filled in by whatever case that I'm spotlighting, if you will. And I'm going to pick which cases and what order I'm going to work them in. I'm not going to tell that yet. Just like I did in Mary's case and Courtney's case and Miss Barbara's case, I'm going to highlight the family's pain. I'm going to tell who the victim was, put the human face on them, and then we're going to tell the story of what did or has or hasn't happened, if things are messed up or appear to be messed up. We're going to lay it all out there, just like in Mary's case. You know why? Because it's important to me. And I know the reason I'm starting a separate podcast, Real Life, Real Crime, hashtag Justice For, is because there's a lot of lifers who don't like to hear those stories. They just want to hear me tell my old cop stories. And I get that. That's what Real Life, Real Crime was premised off of. But these cases, these cold cases, are important to me. And I'm going to do it raw and unscripted, just like I've done in the past. But it'll be a separate podcast. If you don't like to hear these series about these victims and their families, then you don't have to listen. But if you do like it, and hopefully y'all, by telling these stories and shining the light on these victims and the family pain, that hopefully we'll get more closures, like we did in Mary's case. I think it's too important to me as a human being, a father, a son, a brother, and an ex-cop and all that. It's important to me, and if we can solve even one more, it would be a huge success. Not ratings-wise, I'm talking about a huge success for me personally, and I can't do it without the lifers. Y'all have done it in the past. None of those cases were brought to closure by Woody Overton himself. It was y'all helping me, okay? So 2 new podcasts, Scorched Justice, Big Show Production, Cloud 10 Media, iHeartRadio, biggest cases you ever heard of, me putting my spin on them, and hopefully maybe bringing a little bit of resolution to those 2. But Big Show Production, but those are national cases. These are the ones that y'all already know about. First week of April 2022, it's coming. But you'll get to see all the advertisements through Cloud 10 and iHeartRadio, et cetera, ahead of time. The next one, Real Life, Real Crime, hashtag Justice For. Again, that's separate than Real Life, Real Crime. So it'll be 3 podcasts total, and we're going to highlight these cases, and I just think it's important. And I love y'all, each and every one of you. Patron members, convicts, thank you so much for your support. Can't be a patron member or convict, I get it. I love you just as much anyway, but I want to help bring closure, or at least tell these stories on these families. I have the platform to do it. I just have to bite the bullet and do it. But I can't do it without y'all. So, all right, let's get to today's episode. Y'all, this is different. I don't really know what I'm going to say yet. But this week, several days ago, a good friend of mine went missing. And when I say a good friend, I mean a good friend. I've known him for over 20 plus years. He is, I don't want to say was yet, he is a decorated Vietnam War hero in my mind. And when I first met him all these years ago and we became friends, he's probably about 20 years older than me. I got to take him hunting, and we were sitting around the fire. I knew he'd been in Nam, et cetera, but I didn't know he'd actually been on Hamburger Hill. Y'all go back and look up that movie. Where the Americans keep trying to take this hill over and over again, and they just basically get slaughtered. And at the end, they take the hill. As soon as they take it, they move them off of it. Why they all die, right? Well, my friend, that was his army unit. He was on Hamburger Hill, all right? And his name is Harry Brignac. Now, he would get out of the military and go home to French Settlement, Louisiana, which is in Livingston Parish, and he would become the chief of the French Settlement Police Department. It's an elected position, y'all, and he did it for over 30 years. Now, I don't think I've ever said his name directly on the podcast, but I might have said Swim, someone who isn't me or whatever, telling the story, maybe for a couple of obvious reasons. Maybe I'll touch on some of those again today, but he was a career public servant. 30 years. Think about that. In a small town, being the chief. You get to see all these generations of kids and everybody growing up. You get to see all the good things, but you get to see all the worst things, and you worked them, and you know everybody. Now, I remember when Caitlin Adele went missing, and Harry knew the family, and Harry knew Caitlin, and, he worked that case diligently with us, and it's just one of many, Now, Harry was pretty famous for writing tickets, speeding tickets in French Settlement, and I get that. And I'll tell you a real quick story about him. Years ago, he and some friends, we won't say who, went hunting up in Mississippi, and they were invited to go hunting. And when they were assured everything was taken care of, their hunting license and all that stuff, and Harry said he had a brand new rifle, and he goes up on this invited guest hunt, and they're in this camp, and Mississippi game wardens show up, and they want to check a license and everything. Well, guess what? The license never were bought, and they all got charged. We'll say they all got tickets, and it took their guns, and shit. They didn't cut them any slack, even though these guys were, I guess, in powerful positions in Louisiana. Mississippi nailed them to the wall. I mean, Harry said he even went to court to try to talk to the judge about it. Like, hey, we were promised. Didn't care. Had to pay all kinds of money and fines, etc. Now, Harry told me after that, he said anytime he happened to stop somebody for whatever reason that had a Mississippi license plate, there was a certain major over wildlife and fisheries in Mississippi that he dealt with. They pretty much said he was an asshole. And anytime he would write somebody a ticket from Mississippi, and always treated them nice and everything. And when he's giving the ticket, they said whatever about the ticket. He said, well, you know what? Maybe you can call Major such and such wildlife fisheries and ask him, can he help you out, right? Kind of guy Harry was, kind of like me when it came to stuff like that. Y'all hear that? That's the sound of Shopify making me money. I love it. Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big businesses. So upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. Supercharge your knowledge, your sales, and your success. Shopify is more than a store. Connect with your customers, drive sales, and manage your day-to-day. Shopify instantly lets you accept all major payment methods. Shopify has thousands of integrations and third-party apps, from on-demand printing to accounting to advanced chatbots to and beyond. Discover endless possibilities. Shopify is tirelessly reinventing tools of growth for millions of businesses, helping them succeed every day. Shopify believes in liberating commerce for all because entrepreneurship has the power to drive communities forward, and commerce can be a force for good. Y'all, when I started Real Life Real Crime, it was a total mess, right? Trying to sell our merch and different things online. We had to advertise it all and do everything and take the money and the payments and the returns and the shipping. It's just too much for any startup to handle. Shopify does all that for you, and they do the stuff we really didn't know about, like the accounting and everything else. Just give them a chance. If you're a startup, you're a new business, you got to use Shopify. It takes all the guesswork and the hard stuff out of it. Go to shopify.com/RLRC. all lowercase, y'all, for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/RLRC right now. Shopify.com/RLRC. The public servant, dedicating your life to doing that, I mean, it's just really special, y'all. It's really, really, really special. And there were so many nights that I was by myself, that I had no backup, and Harry was my first backup. Okay, on the east side of Livingston Parish when I was working uniform patrol, even in detectives, going down on murder cases or suicides or whatever, Harry was always there. He always lended a helping hand. But he went missing on Monday, and I'll come back to the stories. He went missing on Monday, and I don't know if there was a note left or not, y'all, but he went missing, and there's some speculation about that, and I'm not going to speculate about it. The state of Louisiana did what they call a silver alert, and they put out his picture everywhere on all the news channels in the whole state, his white truck, the license plate number, kind of like an Amber Alert, but for older people who may or may not be having mental problems, whatever. Maybe they have dementia, maybe they got lost, I don't know. But they put out the silver alert for Harry Brignac, the former chief of French Settlement, my friend. But even though I hadn't seen him in probably 5 or 6 years, but they put it out for him, and I pray that they find him. I pray that, Harry, I pray that you're safe. I pray that you're alive more than anything, brother. And I hope you come home, man. And I'm going to tell a couple quick funny stories about Harry, and then I'm going to end this podcast, y'all. I want to talk about Harry's story, and a lot of people don't like him. I get that. The 30 years of service, and then how, including, y'all, he's a past former head of the Louisiana Chief of Police Association, and he was very active in that group. I mean, every year doing that stuff, and everybody knew him, from the colonel of the state police to the governors. I mean, everybody knew Harry, right? But Harry was a little bit of a bird of a different feather. I mean, he was no nonsense. He always says, "Bulldog, hey Bulldog, hey, what's going on, Bulldog?" And but he didn't play. And, you know, if you arrest a lot of people, you're always going to have somebody that's going to bitch about you. And if you write a lot of tickets, you're always going to have somebody that's going to bitch about you. But Harry was an old school cop. And I'll say just a couple, and y'all probably heard me talk about these before. I'm not going to say it was Harry, but let's just say, I'm just not going to say. One night, I got a call of a 103D fight at the Moonlight Tavern, which is pretty much a South Louisiana hallmark, if you will. Van Broussard, all these famous people used to play there. And if you got a call to this place in this fight, I mean, I can't really call it a swamp bar because it doesn't sit directly on the water, but it really is a swamp bar. But if you got called down there, you better believe sugar turned to shit, and you're going to have to put hands on somebody, because normally they took care of it themselves. But they called in and said, "Hey, such and such is in here, and he's just raising hell, flipping tables, fighting, da-da-da-da." So we roll down there, and I get there, and my good friend is there, and we hit the door, right? Now, the Moonlight is a long building, running horizontally on Highway 16. It's like just an old dance hall, right? And when you hit the door, the bar is immediately to your right, and then everything to your left goes out towards the dance floor and where the band would play and all that. Just a real long building. So we hit the door, and they're screaming, "He's down there! He's down there by the dance floor, and he's hiding." So we have to go in and get away through the crowd. The crowd's kind of parting, and my friend starts to holler this kid's name. He knew him, and it dealt with him a lot. And he told me, he said, "Hey, Bulldog, we're going to have to fight this dude, or he's going to run." I said, "All right, so I'm ready." And we go down there, and sure enough, we get to one of the end tables, and this guy comes running out from underneath the table, broke in between us, and the foot chase is on. Now, my good friend never was one to actually chase people. We'll say that. But we ran out of the door and hit the parking lot. Bad guy hangs a hard left. I'm hanging hard left behind him, and I'm thinking the foot pursuit's going to be on. And I hear boom, boom. Shit. I'm diving, hitting the ground, right? It scared the fuck out of me. And, but it scared the bad guy that was in front of me. And he got some real estate, right? He dove down, and then shit, my friend walks up and puts cuffs on him or holsters his pistol, and he carried a revolver, y'all, an old school revolver, big motherfucker. I don't know if it's a 44 Magnum or whatever it was, but it was a big silver pistol. And he walks up and he said, "I got this, bulldog." And the guy's on the ground. He's like, don't shoot me. And he puts handcuffs on him and calls in, "Hey, 259, I got one in custody," right? I'm like, he puts him in the car. I'm like, "What the fuck, man?" And he said, "I'm sorry about that, bulldog." He said, "I ain't gonna let no motherfucker run from me." And he said, "I know this boy," and he, whatever. So that's kind of old cop stuff there was. If I'd have pulled my pistol and fired a couple rounds off, I'm not saying they were fired at the guy. Maybe they were. I don't know. But that some bitch hit the dirt quicker than whatever, and including me. Both of us hit the dirt. But he got arrested and went to jail because of this old public servant, right? Another time, and I know I've told this story, my friend got out on a Signal 18 or a traffic stop on the bayou, like the river or whatever ran right alongside the road. And when he got out, he knew the bad guy because he'd been doing it for 20 plus years. And the bad guy gets out, and I wasn't that far away, and I'm pulling up as the bad guy gets out, and immediately the bad guy hits the water. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, it was cold too, I remember that. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not going in after him. And my friend, it's like, I'm not going after him. He said, hey bulldog. And the guy kind of stopped in the middle of the water. And he said, come on back here, boy. You come on back here. He said, fuck you, Harry. Fuck you. I ain't coming back. And my friend said, fuck me. Fuck you. He said, you gonna swim? I'm gonna give you a reason to swim. And the big silver pistol came out, and let's just say there was a loud boom. And then the guy that was in the water was like, fuck, are you shooting at me? He said, boy, I told you, get your ass over here. I ain't coming in there after you, and we ain't gonna chase you. Boom. Fuck, he said, don't shoot me. And that dude was walking on water getting to the other side, right? And of course he got out on the other side of the river and hit the woods, and they called him later on or whatever. But this is just the kind of no-nonsense guy you were dealing with. But you know what? He helped so many people, man. I went on one call with him. It was a suicide in progress, if you will, at A29S. And he knew the guy. It was down on the island. He knew the guy, and he said, look, bulldog, we go in here. He said, this motherfucker's crazy. And he's supposed to have a gun sitting at the kitchen table. He said, I've dealt with him 100 times over the years. He said, I know him. He said, but if he says he's going to kill himself, chances are he's going to blow his brains out right in front of us. And I said, all right. So we go in. I put my pistol down by my leg, and Harry didn't. He walks in the door, and the guy sitting, it's a little small trailer, y'all. And the guy sitting at the kitchen table, one of those vinyl plastic tops on top of it, and some, like a salt shaker and shit in the middle, a napkin holder. But this guy's sitting there, and he's probably in his 40s, no shirt on, obviously drunker than shit, whiskey bottle in front of him, and he's sitting there, and he said, Harry knocked on the door and said, hey, whatever the guy's name was, call him John. Hey, John, it's Harry. And he's like, Harry, I got a fucking gun. I'm going to kill myself. And sure enough, and Harry goes into the door, and I go in beside him. Now, the guy's sitting to our right, facing like the opposite side of the trailer that we're coming in from, but in his right hand on top of that same table, on top of that vinyl plastic, whatever you call those table covers, dude had a pistol, a semi-automatic dark pistol. I'm like, fuck, he's got a gun. And Harry just reached back and was like, giving me the signal, don't pull your pistol, right? Or don't point your pistol at him. I could read what he was saying. He was like, chip. He said, I got this. And so I got my pistol down by my leg. And this guy's got a pistol in his hand. Now, technically, if I'd been there and I didn't know the guy, I'd have come in put the pistol down. And look, it's happened before. And you never heard me tell stories about people that killed themselves in front of us, because that shit happens, and it's not something I really want to talk about, something I don't want to relive. But let me tell you what kind of balls Harry had. Harry said, hey, John, you ain't gonna do this. You ain't gonna do this, Bulldog. And the guy's like, fuck that, Harry, I'm gonna kill myself. And he went to pick the pistol up. Harry said, don't pick that pistol up, Bulldog. Let me talk to you for a minute. Just let me have a word. And he said, shit, if you're gonna kill yourself, you're gonna kill yourself anyway, but let me talk to you for a minute first. And the guy starts crying. He's like, Harry, I've known you forever. And Harry said, well, then I'm gonna have a seat here, Bulldog. Harry grabs the chair directly across him. I'm talking about a foot away from the pistol that's in this guy's hand. Basically, the pistol's almost pointed directly on its side at Harry. Now, Harry takes the chair, turns it around, and sits on it backwards, where the back of the chair is now facing the guy that's going to commit suicide. And Harry never drew his pistol. I mean, shit, he could have, right? It could have turned into a gun battle, but the guy's got his hand on it, and Harry's like, just talked him down. He said, look, Bulldog, you've been drinking. He said, you ain't in no fucking trouble. He said, take your hand off that pistol and talk to me. Just talk to me real quick. He's like, fuck that, Harry. He said, if you lift that pistol, this young deputy over here is going to take real issue with that, And he said, you don't want that to happen. He said, I don't want to do suicide by cop. He said, that's right. So he said, if you know what? He said, let me talk to you. And if I get done talking to you, if you still want to do it, then fuck it, you do it. And, he said, they ain't nothing. He said, but I want to talk to you. And shit, he sat there, and Harry started talking to him, started asking about his grandmother, and then asked about his grandfather, and then asked him, his dad was deceased, asked him about his mama, and then gets the guy to start not focusing on the pistol. All right? Now, fuck it, he's a foot away from being... all the guy had to do was squeeze the trigger and he could have killed Harry, right? Harry had balls that big, and Harry talked him down. We were there for like 30 minutes. Other cops pulled up, whatever. I told them to stand down, stand back, and pulled him up. And in the end, after Harry talked him down about, hey, you don't want to do this, you got a daughter, and I know she lives with your ex, and this is how you want to go out and be remembered. He said, no, let's get you some help tonight, get you sobered up, da-da-da-da. Harry ends up giving the guy to give him the damn pistol, right? And we did take him, or Harry took him out, actually. And took him out, and we got a Acadian ambulance to come, and they got him locked down on a 72-hour coroner's warrant, because he said he was going to kill himself, right? In the state of Louisiana, you can lock somebody up in the hospital for 72 hours under a coroner's evaluation if they're harm or threat to themselves while they're being evaluated, and then they figure out what to do with them from there, whether it's counseling or they sobered up, whatever, I don't know. And I don't know where it happened to the guy, but I can tell you something. You got fucking big fucking hairy nuts if you sit that close to a guy that's telling you he's going to kill himself and that pistol is that close to you, all right? That's what kind of man Harry Brignac was back then, Chief Brignac. So... just too many of those stories to tell y'all, but like his work ethic. Let's go back to the Moonlight. When the Dukes of Hazzards came and filmed in, most of it was done in Livingston Parish, so some of it here in East Feliciana Parish, but the Moonlight, same place that somebody shot a couple of rounds off to make a bad guy hit the dirt. They turned that into the the Boar's Nest or Hog's Nest, whatever Boss Hogg's establishment was, right? And they filmed all that stuff there. Well, Harry, being the chief of police, was it Jessica Simpson? Jessica Simpson's personal driver. That was his dude. The whole time they were down there filming, he drove Jessica Simpson around, and you better believe that I was coming through town in the morning or whatever before the shooter started getting there. I was talking to him one morning, and he's like, oh yeah, Bulldog, I got to pick Jessica up this morning at such time and then bring it here, and we're going to do this and do that. And he was serious. But he was good. I could promise you one thing, nobody was going to fuck with Jessica Simpson when Harry Brignac was there. So good guy. But we all got demons, right? We all got demons. And in 2009, I was involved in a wreck on the river in my party barge, and Harry was one of the first ones that showed up. And I mean, I was pretty shook up out it. It was a nighttime wreck, and they ripped off the whole side of my party barge. But Harry was there for me then, and I don't know, man. He's been there for me too many times, like a million calls, it seems like. And we were in the oh, I'll tell you one. We got a call about a guy that was holding his wife hostage down there. It wasn't in French Settlement, but it was in between French Settlement and Marpole. They had like 5 rent houses right there in this little circle. And we responded to it, right? Shit hot. Well, who's my backup? Harry was first one there. We get there. When we get out of the car, of course, we didn't just roll right up on the... I wish I could explain that the rent houses are like in a horseshoe, right? So you'd have to drive in and park right in front of your rent house. When I say rent house, y'all, I mean these things are like $300 or $400 a month, basically kind of shacks. But you had to drive up to your shit. Well, we pull up and stop on the outside of the thing, and shit, we're getting out, and there were like 4 units pulled up, but Harry was one of them. Getting out, and you hear pow, 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 and shit, it's bullets flying, and it's from a AK-47 or a SKS. I mean, I knew it was 7.62. I heard the whizzing, and we're all hitting the dirt, calling out the SWAT team, backing the fuck out, left our vehicles where they were, get behind trees and shit, and the guy's over there screaming. He's in like the 3rd house down. He's screaming, "Get the fuck out of here, cops, I'm a killer, da-da-da-da-da." And this turns into a whole night show. We have to call out the SWAT team and everybody else. Well, we set up the perimeter. We spread out to try and had somebody go around the back to try to watch the back door in case the guy got out. And I don't know where, at the time, I didn't know where Harry went, but I knew he went off to my left. He just kind of disappeared into the darkness. And what ended up happening was hours later, the SWAT team was there and they're starting to put up the perimeter. Whoever was watching the back door had never seen the guy leave. But Harry was hiding in the woods down, if you passed up the rental house and passed up even the last one, is swamp, right? Harry's fucking doing some Vietnam shit. He's hiding in the woods, and I hear 259, I got one in custody. Suspect secured, 1064 to net. I'm like, what? And then so the SWAT rushes in, hits the house. The lady's on the floor. She's not dead. Thank God. She's tied up, though. Somehow this guy, he got out of the house. When the SWAT team started showing up and the real perimeter was getting in, I guess this guy had been crawling out. He got out without whoever seeing him get out the back door, but he was trying to make it to the swamp, one cypress tree at a time. But guess what? He didn't know Chief Harry Brignac was hiding behind one of those cypress trees. He said, "Oh, we have Bulldog." He said, "I was waiting. I was just figuring he's going to come that way." And he said, he walked right past me, and I put my pistol to his head and said, "Bitch, you're under arrest. Drop that fucking gun." And the guy dropped the gun, and Harry took him into custody. I mean, those are the stories, and there's 1,000 of them that I'll never be able to remember them all. But I'm having a flood of memories about Harry when they did the Silver Alert this week, and he's missing. And then, Harry, I want you to come home, man. Harry's career ended in like 2018 under some bad circumstances. And I always think it's sad when someone who has a career and they gave so much of themselves over the years, I think it's sad when the career's in on a bad note, and there was a couple of incidents that happened, some arrests were made or whatever, and he ended up resigning as chief of police for French Settlement. And I don't think, we all got our problems. We all do fuck up, right? And Harry, if you're alive, or if you're not alive, I just don't want people to remember you for the end game, if you will. I want people to know that you are a stand-up guy. Hopefully you are a stand-up guy, and that you I gleaned a lot of stuff from you, brother. Good, bad, or indifferent, and I adapted some of it to my own. And I'm praying you coming home, man. Too many stories to talk about y'all, and we used to hunt together, and just wasn't a time I didn't go through that I didn't stop and talk to him. It wasn't a case that even when I made detective that he had a major case that I didn't go out on. It was my wife. I knew his kids. I don't know. But so there's a silver alert issued, and I'm gonna give you all the license plate number in case it's still going on when you hear this. So I want to share this with y'all. All right, this is one of the articles. There's probably 100 of them, but I want to describe his vehicle and describe him to you. Look, Harry's tall. He's on the slender side now. He's got white hair and a face you'll never forget if you see it, right? But this is one of the articles. It says, the French Settlement Police Department, along with the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, are currently looking for French Settlement resident Harry Brignac, who has gone missing. His vehicle is a white 2009 GMC pickup truck with Army license plate AR5739. Y'all, that's Alpha Romeo 5739. Army plates. You know what they look like. It says, if anyone sees the truck, please call the sheriff's office, 225-686-2241, extension 1. Tina Brignac, the daughter of the former police chief, said her father was last seen Monday morning and has not been heard from since, leaving his phone and a note at home. It is believed he left in this white 2009 GMC pickup truck, which is also missing. Well, that's it, y'all. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Fuck it. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know about the note stuff and the speculation and what it said and all that, but I know Harry Brignac is a man of his word. If he says he's going to do something, or he was a man of his word, if he said he's going to do something, he's going to do it, and I just pray he doesn't, and I pray he comes home safely. So y'all be on the lookout. That's a silver alert. And I'm going to end it with that. I'm just bringing Harry home, hopefully alive and well. I'm going to conclude the episode. I don't even know if I named it. I'm going to call it Silver Alert, I guess. Real life, real crime stuff. Y'all, I'm actually doing a video recording of this episode. We did one last week on some LOPA raffle stuff. So everything I'm doing from now on is going to be on YouTube. If you want to see me video live, then go to Real Life, Real Crime Podcast. You have to type all that in, Real Life, Real Crime Podcast on YouTube, and subscribe to us, or hit the like or subscribe button, however it works. And then every time we drop a video, the Vision Podcast Studio will be editing my videos, etc. And every time they drop it, then you'll get to go watch me. And if you want to watch that live, I mean, the one would drop like 4 or 5 days ago has like 2,500 views on it or something like that. So do that. And don't forget about our Real Life, Real Crime Community app. It's downloaded for free in the App Store. It has everything that we have on the crew page and all our other social medias, plus a whole lot more stuff, y'all. It's free. Go download it for free. I'm getting away from Facebook as much as I can because I don't like to be censored. And I'm the only one that's censoring the app. But it's so much more. It's true crime facts. It's updates on our cases. It's everything that we have times 10. It's just too much for me to even tell you about. So go check it out. Real Life, Real Crime Community app. Download it for free from the App Store. And follow me on Instagram at Real Life, Real Crime. And LOPA, I hope we made y'all proud Saturday night at the Crew Bash. LOPA Saves Lives, y'all. Nonprofit, and it's about being an organ donor, Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency. And if you want to be an organ donor and you want to sign up, you hadn't signed up already, you don't have to be from the state of Louisiana, or you can be from the state of Louisiana. Go to lopa.org. If you're a lifer from Argentina, and you want to sign up, go to LOPA.org. It takes about 2 minutes. Fill it out. Be a hero. Give the gift of life. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And until next time or ever, don't let me catch you down on Murder Bayou. Peace.